Hey folks, I'm Joe and today on Big Fast Customs, we're going to try and get this Doodlebug running. And maybe moving? Maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Alright folks, today we've got a 28 or a 29 Doodlebug that I picked up locally from a guy who was moving out of state. I actually got a whole lot of parts from him, so I'm overwhelmed with parts again, but this was part of the deal, and the motor turns over, so we're going to try and get it running today. But I thought I'd give you a little tour around the thing because it's got some interesting modifications to it. If you don't know what a Doodlebug is, basically in the old days, if you needed to do some tractor things but didn't have tractor money, but you had access to an old Model A or could get one really cheap, you made a Doodlebug. And basically you took the truck and you cut most of the body off of it. You know, you kept basically from the cowl forward, and then you shortened the frame and brought the rear end way up, almost right behind the driver or right near the driver, and then that was basically a Doodlebug. From there you could add things to it, you know, depending on what your purpose was. And this thing definitely had a purpose, but I don't know what it was. There's some really strange modifications I've never seen. But before we get into trying to get the motor running, let me give you a tour around this thing and show you some of the strange modifications on it. All right, folks, so let's get started right up front. Like I said, this is it's either a 28 or a 29. I haven't ran any numbers to find out, but we've got modifications already starting right up front. You can see they've added these extensions here on the frame up front. Looks like they were holding some kind of a tank or something. So I don't know if this was used as a sprayer or what the tank was for. It was probably a good idea to have it sitting right there in front of the radiator to block the airflow, but you know, whatever. I guess it worked for them. The other interesting thing is, if you look down here at the front axle, you can see that this is the original cross member. And then they've added this extension down here. So they've actually raised the front of the vehicle up off of the spring. It looks like, I don't know, probably about 6 inches, 7 inches. And if you're really good and really look in there and notice those front bolts just broken right off. So the front of the axle, the spring area, is held on basically with hopes and dreams, and I'm surprised it's still there. You can see the spring is kind of leaning in weird directions, and it doesn't like it there. So really the front axle is only being held on by the wishbones. So we'll have to do something about that. Right now the radiator and the hood are just sitting there. They're not bolted on, but the engine's basically stock. You can see we got a big glob of silicone type stuff on here, so I'm guessing the head is cracked. We've got half of a distributor with a condenser kind of attached with a jumper lead. I'm not really sure what's going on there. All the spark plugs are kind of finger tight, so we'll peek down in there and see what they look like in a few minutes. But we've got, you know, the water pump turns, the generator turns, and the engine does turn. So that's all good signs for whether we can get this thing running. The starter, I don't know. It's got a starter solenoid on it instead of the push button start, and I don't know if that works. I've got a 6-volt battery with me and a 12-volt battery, so we'll see. I'm leaning towards just swapping everything over to 12-volt, and we'll just jumper the starter as we need to, but everything else is basically stock. We've got, you can see the steering arm. They extended it down to make up for that extra 6 or 7 inches in the front end. Looks like they basically cut it, threw a piece of pipe on there, and then just welded it all back together. The cowl is just stock, cut off at the windshield posts. It's rotted out as usual, but it's not too bad. It could be used for a rat rod or something like that. And we've got a nice tractor seat there, which it looks like it's really close to that steering wheel, but it's on like a spring, so I'm guessing that it'll probably sink down quite a bit, give you some room. But one of this is definitely was built out of a Model AA truck, not just a regular Model A. You can tell how much thicker the frame is. And the Model AA were really preferred to make Doodlebugs because, you know, they were a little heavier duty, you know, like particularly the frame. You could actually use a Model AA frame for a like a mild small block hot rod and not even have to box it. It was a pretty thick frame. It was pretty sturdy. So they were sought after when you were making a Doodlebug, of course. And one of the options that you could get with the Model AA, you could get the standard 3-speed transmission, but you could also get a 4-speed transmission. And it wasn't like you got to go any faster. It was more for, you know, pulling and low speed. But one thing that none of them had was both transmissions. That's right, folks. Down in here we have 2 transmissions. I don't know why. I'm guessing they were trying to gear it down or something, but we've got the standard 3-speed transmission, just like any Model A, up here in the front, and it is directly coupled to a 4-speed transmission. The 4-speed transmission, it's got a little cover on the other side, so you can hook up a PTO if you wanted to, I don't know, mow your lawn or do some kind of a dump bed or something like that. But yeah, I don't know why they have 2 transmissions, but it gets even better because we've got a 3-speed transmission, a 4-speed transmission, and a 2-speed rear end. Now, I don't exactly know what this rear end came out of. It is definitely from a bigger truck, and just from the little bit of searching I did, I think it's late 30s, early 40s. It's got a manual shift for the gearing on the rear end, and it's basically they've bolted it to the frame by welding some brackets onto various things, so it'd be easy to come off. I'm definitely not going to use an axle like this. It's too heavy duty for anything I would need. I'm not looking to build anything like that. But you can see the cable for the shifting of the rear end comes all the way up to here. I don't really know how it works, but that's what they were doing. I don't know exactly what the purpose of this thing was, but they needed it geared funny for sure. Other than that, basically when they cut off the frame back here, you can see they added like a trailer hitch and a little step back here with some holes for attachments. So this thing was definitely purpose built. I just can't figure out exactly what it was for. Normally you don't see 2 transmissions. Usually they stick with the transmission that was in it. They shorten the torque tube or make a drive shaft and usually use the original rear end and everything. They're just trying to use what they had. But this one maybe wasn't built back in the real old days. Maybe this was built a little bit newer when they were cobbling stuff together from other things. But for whatever reason, that's what it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and get this thing running. I'm pretty confident we can get this engine running. And then once we get it running, we'll see if we can put it in gear and get it to move at all. That might be interesting, but I'm not real confident in that because I know the 3-speed transmission shifts. The 4-speed transmission does not. It's pretty stuck, so I don't know if the whole internals are stuck or if it's just the tower or what, but we'll find out. It's not that big of a deal if it doesn't move. I'd really like to get it running so we know if we've got a good motor here. But what we're going to do is we're going to start out by draining the oil out, make sure there's no water in there or anything, and once we've got that done, we'll put some oil back in it. We'll start turning it over, checking that distributor, and seeing where we can go from there. I can tell you the guy I got it from just added this carburetor over here and a little exhaust pipe for us. He had it listed for sale for a little while and got tired of dealing with people on Marketplace, honestly. That's why he sold everything to me. But he figured since he was having such a hard time getting it sold the way it was, he was going to try and get it running to see if that would help sell it. But I bought it before he finished, so I'm going to take over from where he left off. But I don't know anything about it. I know that he bought it from an auction, never got around to doing anything with it, and now here we are. So let me get set up to drain the oil out, and I'll bring you guys back. All right, I pulled the radiator and the hood off, so they're out of the way, and I'm set up over here so we can drain the oil out. So let's find out what's in the oil pan. I apologize, guys. I bought a magnetic holder for my GoPro, and then I forgot to bring it. So you're stuck with me holding it while I try to do things. I did already try to loosen this plug, and it was loose, so maybe somebody's already done this, but let's find out what's in here. Uh-oh. Water. And glop. Water and glop. That's the best. That's not great. But it does turn over, so that's at least a good sign. Alright, I'm going to let this glop fall out of here, and we'll see how much we can get out, and then we'll look at adding some new oil. I'll bring you guys back in a few minutes. All right, folks, so I drained the oil out. There's probably only about 2 quarts of oil in there, and maybe a quarter of a quart or a few pints of water in there, so it really wasn't too bad. There was some glop that came out of there, but overall it didn't look too bad. The oil still kind of felt like oil. So I did check the motor again, and we can see it does turn over. It actually turns over pretty easy. I don't know if that's a good or a bad sign, but it does turn over. So I put a 6-volt battery in it, and we're gonna hit the switch and just see if the starter will turn it over. So the battery's already hooked up, and there's a switch up here for the solenoid. Okay, well, it turns it over. That's good. Doesn't turn it over very fast. I don't know if that's because my battery's not great. I'm going to switch over to the 12-volt battery and see if it starts a little bit better. It should. But let's find out. All right, folks, we got the 12-volt battery in. This should go a lot faster. Okay, that's definitely a lot faster. It sounds like the solenoid's having some problems, and for some reason I'm getting a gas smell. It's odd. Maybe it's just airing out of the gas can. But okay, we know it turns over. That's no problem. It turns over a lot better on 12 volts, of course. So I think we're gonna go with a 12-volt coil, and that's how we'll try to start it. But let me disconnect the battery. I want to get a flashlight and look down the cylinders, change out. I'll go grab a different coil and some different stuff, and then I'll bring you guys right back. All right, folks. Well, when you're gonna do something like this, you should definitely make a list of the tools and things you need to bring with you. Because you're going to forget them, like I did. So I'm going to look down the cylinders, but I didn't bring my little camera to look down there, so you guys aren't going to know what it looks like. You'll just have to take my word for it. I also didn't bring my tool to set the timing, so I'm going to have to do that by eyeball, and should be close enough to at least get it to fire up. We're going to try and stick with this distributor. I'm going to file the points a little bit, and then we're just going to throw it all together, and we'll see if it sparks at all. If it doesn't, I've got another distributor we can swap it out to, but we'll see. Let's get a look down these cylinders. I'm gonna swap out these plugs too. They're all mismatched and kind of crooked. Looks like they've been hit, but they don't look bad on the bottom. I see some carbon, but it really doesn't look bad in there. I mean, we know it turns over, so it's not too bad. But again, I don't know what happened to this beforehand. I don't know if somebody's already broke it loose or it's just always been loose, but yeah, plug's dirty, but not bad. Actually looks pretty decent in there. I think this piston's up right now. Go over to this one, number 3. I really can't wait to peel that silicone off of there and see if that's a crack or not. I'm sure it is. Not bad. It's got some carbon on there. It's almost carbon shut. This one's a little dirtier, but still looks okay. That one doesn't look bad. And that looks like all the other ones. So, it doesn't look too bad. I guess I could turn it over and watch for the valves moving, but let's just make it a surprise. I've got some used Champion plugs I'm going to throw back in here. They're in decent condition, and they all still have the little nut on the end of them so I can put the spark plug wires on. One of the things I got in all the parts I got from this guy was like 2 coffee cans full of old used spark plugs that he had cleaned up for, I don't know, emergency use or for me to do this, I guess. But a lot of the parts I got, I mean, the guy was really well organized. He had everything he had separated out into like crates and boxes, and they're all labeled. Even they had like buckets of bolts, and he labeled where they came from, and it was really nice because that's going to make it a whole lot easier for me to sort through this stuff and pack it up wherever I need to put it on my shelves so I can find it when I need it, because that's always the biggest problem. I hate knowing that I've got something somewhere, can't find it. Check that, looks okay. As you can see, I'm using the right size wrench for putting in the spark plugs, so no problem there. It's funny, some of these are lightly cleaned up. You can see the tips are all clean, but then you can see the carbon down around the insulator a little bit further into the plug. Last one, I'm going to change out the power wire that goes, well, it goes between the coil and the distributor, and then we'll file the points and we'll see if we can get some spark in the points at least, and then we'll move on from there. Okay, that's on. Let me grab a pair of pliers. Let's see if this will come out of here. Ooh, that's pretty solid. Tell you what we're gonna do. You like how I'm working on everything with just a pair of pliers or adjustable wrench? I've got a full socket set sitting over there on the truck, but why do that when we can just do it like this? All right. I hope this isn't shorted. It looks horrible, but we're going to take this off. I'm going to attach this here. That's horrible. Okay. Well, we're going to do that, and we're going to hook up some power. I'm going to grab my screwdriver, which is over here. Alright, so we're not going to hook up the starter. Well, I guess we could. This goes onto the positive side. This goes to the negative side. And this also goes to the negative side. Let's see if we get any kind of popping. Oh, you know what? We probably won't until you sand those points down. Dummy. As I mentioned, you know, make a list of the tools you need when you're doing this kind of stuff, because I forgot all kinds of stuff. I forgot the camera to look down the cylinders. I forgot my tool to adjust the timing. I forgot an ohm meter. I mean, I basically just showed up here. You're lucky I've got pants on. I'm over in storage where I've been keeping all of my parts and mess. So I don't keep a lot of tools and stuff over here. Alright. It doesn't look great, but let's see if it does anything. Ooh, we got some popping. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're good. That's good. That means we throw the distributor together, figure out the timing, and then we can probably, yeah, spray some gas in here and try to fire it up. Now the question is, I believe number one is this one. That's a good question. Let's get this timing pin out of the front. Get this thing set up to top dead center, and then we'll worry about that. Maybe it's already set. I don't remember if it's this one or this one. It might be this one. So we'll put this in here. Get our wrench. Told you guys how we do this before, but basically there's a, let's see, can you even see down there? Let's look down here. Okay, so right here there's a pin sticking out of the front of the motor. You unthread it, flip it around and put it back in, and then when you rotate the motor, there's a indention in the gear here, and when you line up with top dead center, that indention lines up with this pin and you'll feel the pin drop in. That means you're at top dead center and you can stop. So let's see, I'm pushing in on it. I don't know if you can see that. Everything's good. Still good. Gotta be getting close. It's hard to see. I don't know if you can watch my finger. Did I miss it? Where'd it go? Nope, let's go back the other way. There it is. So if you watch, see I'm pushing in on it. Let me try and get this in a way you can see it better. Okay, so I'm pushing in on it. And you see it dropped in? It just very slightly, like a quarter inch, not even. Get that out of the way, watch right here. See that? Right when it's at the bottom, that's top dead center. So we take this back out. I always suggest put this right back in. Just put it in, tighten it up so you don't forget and it doesn't fall out later on. Tighten it right back up. You can always loosen it up later. You don't have to hork it in there. Just tighten it snug, and that's good. Okay, so we got that. Let's come back up here. And according to our, I think we're on. I don't think it needs any adjustment. So we're pointing at a terminal inside, it's right here. That should go to this one, I think. We'll find out. Let's, if I had a meter, I could double check it, but again, I'm stupid, so. Cap on. Put a little bit of coil wire on there. And we've got to put some spark plug wires. Honestly prefer to clean up these spark plug wires, but yeah, these ones aren't bad. They're a little bad. We'll clean them up a little. I do have gas, but it's easier to get this in there. Fingers crossed, folks, this will be the easiest one yet. Take this, put it on here, and I hear it trying. Get rid of the choke. A little more of this. Leaking all over the place. There's not a push button here for the starter, it's a switch, so. So I think my switch blew up. All right, so that's not good. I guess we'll just jumper it with the jumper it at the solenoid. I've got some more jumper wires here. that, but that means we'll disconnect this. Do we disconnect the starter? Oh, we have to cut one of these wires. That's what we need to do. So we'll cut this one. Or we can just take it off with a screwdriver, I guess. Alright, so that's done. Actually, you don't even need the jumper wire. We'll just use this one. Okay, so put that there. Hook this back up. I think our timing is still off, but let's advance it a little bit. Let's see what that does. A little more goop. And hit it. Ooh, that pokes. Maybe we don't want to do it that way. Solenoid is toast. Alright, well, that could be because we ran 12 volts into it. I'm going to go find another solenoid and we'll be back. Okay folks, we're back. I've got a new solenoid on the firewall. Apparently the 6-volt one didn't like 12 volts and it went out. I actually had to go through two. The last one I put on didn't work, so I finally got one that works. We now have a push button switch, so that'll work. And I went ahead and hooked up the gas tank. The carburetor's not leaking, so that's a good sign. So let's put some power to the coil, hit it, and see if it'll start running. Power. Got my button here. Let's choke it. Uh-oh. Let's back that timing down a little bit. All right, she is running. Runs a little rough. I'm sure it needs some carburetor adjustments. Definitely need to go through the timing, but let's see about getting a belt on this and the radiator, and we'll see if we can get it to move. All right, folks, new plan. Instead of going through all the trouble of trying to find all the stuff for the radiator and the hoses and all that stuff that I have buried all over the place, maybe I have good ones, maybe I don't. I'm going to start this up and see if it'll move. If it'll move a little bit, then I'll go through the trouble to find all the other stuff. If not, there's really no point in going ahead with all that. So I did change out the throttle linkage because the spring was broken and I could give it throttle. I just couldn't take it away, which, you know, that could be fun, but it was easy to change out. I did that. I'm gonna hop in. I also had to place a cinder block under this awesome tractor seat because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm a larger gentleman and this seat wasn't made for me. So as soon as I tried to sit in it, it was way down. I was sitting like this. So cinder block's gonna keep me in place. We're gonna start it up. We're gonna throw it in reverse, see if it'll try and back up. If it does, we'll try and roll it back forward a little bit, and then we'll shut it down because it has no brakes, and my truck's right there. I don't want to run into it. So let's see what it'll do and see if it's worth going through the hassle to put the radiator back on and things like that. I do see some sparking by the distributor cap, so I know there's some problems up in there. I don't know if it's the plug wires or the cap itself, but that could be a little bit of a reason why it's running a little rough. But let's see what we can do. The swivel tractor seat is very helpful. All right. Power. Contact. Try again. Come on. There we go, it moves. All right, so I'm gonna go find the stuff for the radiator and we'll see if we can drive it around a little more on these nice flat tires. Didn't damage it too bad. So before I went and put all those hoses on, I should have checked that the radiator cap came off. I just had to destroy it with a hammer and a screwdriver. And now we can put water in it. Watch it leak out. We're immediately pouring right out. Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen. Those lower radiator hose clamps suck. I don't think that helped, but let's see. What do we got for leaks? Yeah, we got a few. Should be okay. All right, let me get the truck out of the way and we'll take this thing for a ride. She was running good before. Uh-oh. Wonder if the timing slipped. No! No! That's bad. That was full throttle. Okay folks, well we're day 2 into a 1-day project, so that happens sometimes. I actually ran out of time the other day. I had some other responsibilities I had to take care of, but you did see that we got it running and I got it down the driveway a bit. It was so fast that even someone who frequents fast food restaurants such as myself could walk faster than this thing. So those dual transmissions are doing a good job gearing this thing down. But when I got down in the driveway, it started to backfire, and I did try to shift into 3rd gear to see if I could get it to move a little faster, and it kind of bogged down and shut off, and then the battery was dead. So I needed to jump start the battery. I finally got it started to get it back into this parking spot so it was out of the way, and it was backfiring frequently and very loud. It sounded like there was a gunfight going on. I'm surprised the cops didn't show up. I did get it back into its spot. I checked the rotor just to see if it was in the right position for top dead center, to see if anything had moved, or if maybe even the timing gear on the cam had been slipping. But that all looked fine. So then I started looking at the distributor, and I found a bunch of problems. So we're gonna swap that distributor out with, I've got another one, actually came from the same guy I got the Doodlebug from. And I checked this one out. This one looks good. So we're gonna swap this one in, because the other one, we could redo it, but it's got a lot of stuff wrong with it, and it'd just be easier to swap this one in. So let me show you what I found on this one before we swap out the new one. And maybe you guys will understand what's going on here. Okay, so you guys know that the distributor didn't have a cap on it when I got it. It was out in the elements. I mean, the hood was on it. I don't know who covered it up or anything before that, but we knew it had problems in the beginning. Right off the bat, this wire that goes to the coil it's all taped up, frayed, coming apart. So who knows if it's shorting in here or anything. I did try to unscrew it with some pliers, and it's really stuck in here. So I wasn't able to get that out, but it did start using that wire. So I don't know if it's gotten worse or if that's part of the problem. I don't know. But we also have this strange condenser modification here. Basically, it looks like they didn't have the right condenser, so they just kind of added this one on here. But you know, just wrapping the wires around here is not real great. This is loose. I did try to take the screw out to swap in a real condenser, and the slot for the screw basically just rounded off, so it's kind of stuck in there. I could probably work on it and get it out, but we've got some rust in here. But I did go and take the points plate out, and when I did, you can see that's all rust down in there. The wire going from the points plate down to where the power connection comes in, this is all frayed. This is pretty common. It had been taped up once. I added some more tape to it, but it really didn't help. It's all frayed. It could be shorting out anywhere in here. So, you know, basically it'd be a whole lot easier just to swap all of this out, put in this nicer distributor that I've got, and then hopefully that'll solve a lot of the problems. The way it was backfiring, I do think it was ignition, not fuel, but we'll find out. I'm going to swap in this other distributor. I hope this one's not seized in the head, and we can get it out pretty easy. If we can, we're going to swap this new distributor in, and then we'll try and fire it up again. We should know right away if this was the problem. I'm hoping that this will start a lot easier, and then we'll know. Maybe we can take it for another ride. So let me get started on that. Okay, so right out the gate, we've got a big problem. The nut that goes into the head that holds the distributor in place, there's a screw with a lock nut on it, and they're both pretty rusty, and the lock nut is rounded off. Looks like it's been rounded off for a long time. So basically I can't get the distributor out until I can get that out, and there's not a lot of room in here. So I am going to pull, I think, the manifolds off so I can get a straight shot at it with the impact and hopefully get that out. Well, I got the manifolds off, and honestly I didn't quite expect that, but a lot of gas came out of the cylinders. So that could be part of the reason it was backfiring a lot, but I don't know if it was because it couldn't burn it all, or you know, the carburetor was supplying too much. I'm not really sure, but we're going to change the distributor anyways while we're here, because we know it's got some problems, and then we'll put the manifold back on And maybe we'll be looking into the carburetor as well. So, all right, well, we lucked out. I jammed a impact socket on here and a couple Ooga Doogas, took it right out. You can see it's pretty rounded and crappy looking. I'm gonna see if I've got another one, but let's see if the distributor pops out or it's gonna fight it. Oh, nope, it's coming right out. Look at that. And it's a long shaft distributor. Look at that. So I've got to go look for an intermediate shaft because the one I have, unless this is stuck in here, nope, that is a long shaft. So the one I have is a short shaft, so I've got to get one of these intermediate shafts to put in here. So I'll go find one of those and then we'll get this distributor in. Okay, so here's where we're at. We've got the distributor back in. I did gap the points. I checked the gap between the rotor and the cap, cleaned the cap up the best I could. I changed out the used spark plugs for used spark plugs that were dry, so hopefully that'll help. We did cycle over the engine to try and blow as much as we could out, and I put the manifold back on, and I did open up the carb to check and see if at least the needle and seat were working. They seem to be. The inside of the carb's not great. It's starting to deteriorate. The pot metal's kind of coming apart, but it looks to be okay as long as that float's actually working. If the float's not working, we should usually see fuel pouring out the front of this thing. So I think that part's okay. I did notice that the threads for the inlet are almost gone. So this carburetor is pretty old. It's starting to deteriorate, but I don't think that was the problem. I think it was the lack of spark was just letting fuel get sucked in there, and then it just wasn't burning enough, and then it was backfiring. So what I'm going to do is, without a fuel system, without a fuel source, I'm going to try and start it, see if we can clean all the old gas out of the cylinders, and then we'll hook up some gas, and then we'll see how it runs from there. So let me hook up the power to the coil, and we'll turn it over. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, it sputtered a little, so I hope it's cleaned out. I'm gonna hook fuel up, and we'll get the little tank on here, and we'll see if it'll fire up. All right, I got the little tank on. Fuel is definitely flowing, so let's see what happens now. Hook up the coil. And let's hit it. Okay, sputter, sputter. That's running pretty good. We're still getting some backfiring. It runs decent, but we're still getting some backfiring. Let's see if we can adjust some stuff. carburetor definitely needs some work. I'm still getting some backfiring, and I've got the one adjustment here. It's not the air fuel mixture, it's the, I'm not even sure what it does, but I've got it basically all the way shut off, and it runs best right there. I've also got the timing advanced quite a bit, but it seems to run okay. Let's shut it down and see how well it starts up again. It does start pretty good, so I'm gonna put some more water in it, and then we'll try and take it for a ride again. All right, we've got the battery strapped in, we've got more water in it, and we know it drives super slow, but let's see if this thing will drive a little better today. I'm just gonna do a short lap again, because this thing's heavy. I don't want to push it if it breaks down. Coil's hooked up. She doesn't turn well at all, and she's really slow, but she's running. She's got some leaks. Looks like we got some smoke coming from the front main seal, so it probably needs a new seal there. The water pump is definitely leaking, but it runs a lot better now with the new distributor in it, so it's a good engine. I don't hear any knocks, no noises. It feels like the clutch might be slipping a little bit, but that's okay. All in all, we got a good motor, and I'm pretty happy with it. Well, that could be why the clutch seemed like it was slipping. Since I drove it, all the oil around the top of the bell housing there and coming out of this inspection cover has started seeping out. So it looks like we've probably got a rear main seal leak, and it's probably taken out that clutch. But that's okay. It'll be changed out when we take the motor out. But I could explain it. All right, folks, there you have it. The little bugger runs and it drives very, very slowly, but it does move. I can definitely see some leaks we need to fix. It's not leaking out of that gooped up spot on the head, so that's cool. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you would do with this if this was yours, or what you'd like me to see to do with it. Really, the plan when I picked it up was, if the motor ran, take the motor out and put it into another chassis I have, and then use the rest of the frame for a rat rod. Basically take off the extra cross member, lower it back down to where it should be, Z the back end where it's already been chopped off, and then maybe use this cowl or another one that I've got and make like a roadster pickup. But you know, I'm open to ideas. I don't really need a tractor. I definitely don't need a tractor that's this slow, but let me know what you would do with it. And also, don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free, it doesn't cost anything, and it definitely helps out the channel. So that's going to wrap it up for this video. The next video is definitely going to be wrapping up the sloppy speedster. I've spent way too long on that. It's been delayed way longer than it should have been. I put too much time and thought into it than it really needed. And the next video, it might be a little delayed, but I'm gonna make sure that we wrap it up. We're gonna get the cowl back together, we're gonna do the brakes, we're gonna put a seat and a floor on it, and then we should be able to take it for a ride down the street, and that should close out that project and we can get on to something else. But otherwise, yeah, guys, let me know what you think about the project. And this is most likely going to get set aside for a while. It'll get covered up, and I'm not going to be doing anything with this one right now because we've got the Camaro to do. Like I said, we've got the sloppy speedster to finish, and I've got something else lined up. So pretty soon I'm going to do a video showing you all the projects I've got lined up, and maybe we'll vote and see which one you guys want to see next. So thanks for watching. Thanks for checking this out. It's cool that we could get it running. It's definitely an interesting little vehicle, and maybe we'll do something with it in the future. Thanks, guys.